Ken, have you ever heard of BWD magazine?
Of what?
B like boy, W, D like David, magazine.
No.
It's a birding digest. And anyways, I've invited someone from that magazine to come on to the show. So we'll see. Isn't this a beautiful owl?
Great horned owl. Here's BWD magazine. Top selling magazine about life in the Braidwood region. So that's probably not the same one.
I don't know.
Bird Watchers Digest. There we go.
Bird Watchers Digest.
That looks more like it.
Viviana is an ornithologist and she studies birds and the different kind of species of birds.
First, approach them really carefully. So the first thing that we free is the feet.
Bird banding, just touching a bird, it was like just amazing.
Touch the claw. See?
Look.
We caught the birds in the net and weighed them, observed their eyes and their tails, their legs, and all that different stuff. And then we banded them so that other scientists who found them later could keep track of them also.
Let go. Giving him freedom just feels really just wonderful. What else can we do to learn more about birds?
So I was actually really lucky enough to be part of a program that's called Celebrate Urban Birds. We actually find which species are where in the city and how they're using green spaces. And it helps scientists like me learn about what habitat types and what green spaces birds need in cities.
Celebrate Urban Birds is a citizen science project where scientists are trying to keep track of how birds use green spaces in like our cities and nature.
Citizen science is good because you get to help scientists like Viviana collect data for scientists around the world.
Anyone can do this because all we have to do is just go to a green space like this and watch birds.
How do we get started?
So the first thing to get started is we need to learn how to identify birds. So we're going to watch some birds at the feeder and see what characteristics of each individual species help us identify them.
Cool.
So let's go. So what we're going to do is try to sketch some of the birds that we're watching, and then we're going to compare our sketches with the field guide. You can take notes as well about what it was doing.
We looked at their tails and their eyes and beaks, shapes of the bodies, all of those characteristics and features of the bird tell you a lot about their species.
So to identify the birds, we're going to use some guides and some other tools to help us.
We got each other's sketchbooks and looked through a bird book and seen what bird we thought it was and why we thought it was that bird.
So I thought it was an adult male house finch because it has like a brownish back and it has several like indistinct streaks.
So what species did you find?
I thought it was the red-winged blackbird. It has a streak of red on it, and I could see that the tail was long and outstretched from the body.
And we could look at that detail a lot more clearly with binoculars. So that's what we'll do next. So the first rule with binoculars is never search for something while looking through your binoculars. You will get dizzy, you will fall down. Oh, there's a bird just flew on that tree
Oh,
where
I
the dead
see it.
branches are. Let's see what that
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Now look at it closely and look at all the characteristics that we have been drawing and talking about. What you'll see is birders go like this,
Love how the images of the
down.
binoculars aren't correct.
up, and then down. And so that's how you always keep track of the bird and you will not get dizzy. For Celebrate Urban Birds, we actually only focus on 16 species of birds. Where would you want to go and observe birds within the city?
City Park.
Oh, I love City Park. There's a
I know.
lot of birds there. The City Park's more of in the city, so we might find some different birds.
So I think we have a plan. We have a time and a place to meet tomorrow. Does that sound great?
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's great.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and this is the 35th episode of On the Wing. The whole show is pretty much dedicated to our viewers who have been submitting images of birds from around the world. And so I'll bring on Kent Marts here. Kent, what do you think about the quality of the images that have been kind of flowing in? Are we getting better and better images all the time? Or
It's we've got a couple of people who are sending in. We always need more. It's and if you took it, we're proud of it. That's how it's like talking about people who do astrophotography. Dude, if
Right.
you took the picture, we'll show it. We're proud of
Sure.
you for doing it. And it's just like with birds, we would love, more people to send in their pictures, and we got some great pictures. Absolutely. So we will just go ahead and welcome to, come on. There we go. Welcome to On the Wing. So we're going to start out with the never popular American coot. I say never popular.
Why is that?
It's just not a popular bird. It's not pretty. They're large and gregarious and noisy. And, I'm probably being too harsh on the American coot, but they're a water bird, as you can tell from the picture. They're a big bird. They're up to 17 inches long. So that puts them between a robin and a crow. And they're all over the United States. Here where we are in Arkansas, we're in the year-round population, breeding population up into Canada, and non-breeding populations along the East Coast and then West Coast of Mexico. So they're a plump, almost chicken-like bird with a oddly rounded head and a sloping white bill. They have a tiny tail, short wings, and large feet that are visible on the rare occasions when they fly. So let's listen to the coot first, and then we'll talk about it more. Here we go. Here's the American coot.
They sound like a squeaky toy.
Basically, they sound like a squeaky toy. And you can see from these pictures that they gather up in large rafts of birds, R-A-F-T-S, rafts of birds. Some of those goofy long legs, you'd think they'd be a shorebird, but they're not. They're a water bird. We can see from this picture, they're a gray to dark gray to black. They have the obvious bright white bill and a white forehead. The legs are weirdly green,
Mhm.
yellow green, they say, but all the ones I've ever seen have just weird, I mean, really weird green colored legs. And they also can have a close range, a small patch of red on their forehead. So they're just a really distinct bird. Once you see one, it's like, oh, that's a coot. And the legs are weird. They're really poor flyers. They run across the top of the water to get airborne. And complicating things for a bird that swims is the fact that they don't have webbed feet. They've got feet like chickens. And when they're on the land, they walk like a chicken as opposed to waddling like a duck. It's the oddest thing. They're a water bird that is not really a water bird. It's very bizarre looking. They're awkward and clumsy. Like I said, when they're flying, they take long, flat takeoff runs. And when the entire raft gets up, it's a noisy, splashy thing, and it takes them forever to get up in the air. Whereas ducks and can get off the ground, off the water real quick and get up, coots can't. And even they're more like a geese have, can't take off in long straight up. They got to really slope. So it's just a really, it's like a joke of a bird almost. It's like Mother Nature, God, all encompassing being, whatever you want to believe in, or just, it's like it was a joke, had some leftover parts and just stuck it together and made a land bird or water bird and gave it these crazy green legs. You can find them all over the place. They're always around water, in marshes, lakes, can be found in roadside ditches, sewage treatment ponds, and saltwater inlets and saltwater marshes. They eat massive amounts of aquatic vegetation, and they're around all over the place. But the American coot gets little love. So listen to the sound a little bit more.
Oh, what's that? They have like a little, that high pitched.
Hear that noise, that flapping noise? That was a bird taking off.
Okay.
That right there, that's birds taking off.
I like it. I like the noise. It's good. The noise. The song of this bird.
A lot of times they're a diver. They'll be, if they get disturbed, it's interesting. Rather than taking off, a lot of times, much of the raft will dive underwater. I've seen that many times. They'll just sort of go underwater and then pop back up and then maybe take off. So this is from our friend.
Good way to avoid a predator, I guess.
It's a good strategy, going underwater. Although, if a bald eagle or something wants to take one, we know bald eagles will go in the water after fish. And, but, obviously these birds can get underwater more than just a little bit, but it's just a strange bird all the way around.
Right.
But it's a bird only its mother could love, I guess. So
let me recognize some of the people that are on the chat, and there was some questions or comments there. Richard Gray says howdy to everybody. The Astro Beard. Mike Wiesner, who just did that image, says howdy birdies. Martin Eastberg says howdy those in snow country. Must be cold up there. It's going to be snow country here pretty soon.
I was going to say tonight.
Is it tonight? Okay.
I'm going to look real quick. It was supposed to. It moved up a little bit. Let me just look.
Yep. Billy's Astro says, hi, Mike W. and Martin. Paul Burgart, howdy from snowy Kansas. It's already snowy in Kansas. It's going to be snowy here pretty soon.
Yep. It's going to be, let's see. It's going to plummet tonight. Snow starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And it gets colder. Low of 14 tomorrow night.
Yikes.
Yeah. And then clear on Saturday and Sunday.
Howdy, Harold Locke says, howdy, bird peeps. Billy's Astro says, howdy. Let's see. Who else do we have on today? Norm Hughes. He says, howdy, astrobirdtographers.
Cartographers.
Birdtographers. I like that. Let's see. Lots of comments back and forth. Wade Prunty says, how rude, Kent. He is obviously in defense of the coot. Billy's Astro says, I have one living in my creek year round. He's always there and always alone until they migrate down here. I see. So one of them just kind of stays back. Mike says about this photo, he says it was a quick grab. He landed, I took the photo, he flew away.
So there is a hunting season on coots.
What?
Although I don't know of anyone who has ever eaten a coot.
Look, if you're not going to eat it, why would you hunt it? You know, so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've never shot a coot. You know, I've did some extensive duck hunting in years past. And, you know, I've passed I figured the coot wasn't worth the cost of the shell, you know, so.
Okay, so Norm Hughes says he should submit his word, the astrobirdographer, to Merriam-Webster for submission to the dictionary. Yeah, why not? So, and let's see, Martin Eastburn is here. Coot might be good for duckweed.
They eat a lot of aquatic vegetation, so I suspect that unless it's just inedible, it would. I have a friend whose name is Cooter. I need to ask him if he's named after the coot or what, but yeah, his name's Cooter.
Cooter. Jim Norwood is here. He says, I just ordered some Bresser hiking birding binoculars from you earlier today. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Jim's Astro says, hi from Snow Country. Cameron Gillis is watching from Seattle. He says, howdy, Scott, Kent, and astronomy friends. And Cameron further adds, I just had an awesome imaging last night with my new dual imaging rig with C8 plus piggyback ED80 on my great Exos 2 mount. Thank you very much.
So he's got a C what,
we'll have
Scott?
to see those images.
Yeah, what was it? A C8 on it with an 88?
Yeah, he's a C8 plus piggybacked. Yeah. And he's got our ED, the Explore Scientific ED80 piggybacked on top. Okay.
Right. But not as the guide scope.
Exos 2 mount.
Right,
so,
but not as a guide scope, as an imaging scope. So he's running a guide scope too, probably.
Yeah. Cameron says he missed us all, but he has been following us along offline. So thank you very much, Cameron. We always like to see you there. You'll have to submit your photos so we can show them on the next astrophotography show, which is focused on astrophotography, which is tomorrow. So
that's correct.
Yep, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So
moving on. This is a bird we've had before, courtesy of Pekka in Sweden.
Nice. Yeah,
this is
a nice photo. I like
it.
It's
a nice photo of a female blue tit. The Eurasian blue tit, which is like related to the titmouse in the United States. It's a very nice photo of a bird feeder and looks like a bag of peanuts that they're probably pecking at. Pekka uses a similar sort of arrangement, a bag like that with suet or other bird seed, fat mixture. Let's listen to the Blue Tit song, a very cool song. We've heard this before, but let's talk about it again.
apparently these things are famous bandits. They steal stuff.
So they're small, sparrow-sized birds, and we'll leave it play. They have a very distinctive plumage. The blue cap. They have a white face with a dark line running through the eyes horizontally, and yellow underparts. Juveniles have a yellowish wash to their face and drab plumage overall. So There's a bird with an inset right there, but and we're looking at a female because either a female or a juvenile because of the drab plumage as well. So go ahead and stop the song. The nape, wings, and tail are all blue. The back is yellowish green. Underparts are a mostly sulfurish looking yellow with a dark line down the abdomen. Bill is black, legs are bluish gray, and the iris is dark brown. Their eyes dark brown. The bird is famed for its acrobatic skill because it can cling to the outermost branches and hang upside down when looking for food. As you can see from the map, it's all over Europe, Russia, up into the Scandinavian countries, as well as down into Turkey, Iran, looks like over into the some of the Kazakhstan and places like that. Common in wooded and forest habitats, parks, gardens, and hedges. Often visits bird feeders and uses nest boxes easily. Ranges from the top of Finland through all of Europe, with sightings into Iran, Kazakhstan, and Western Russia. Is a spectacular looking, pretty bird that apparently has not made its invasive way to the United States that I can find. So a bird now that has made its way is Dan George's favorite bird, the house sparrow, which is a native of Europe. However, it's become endemic everywhere as an invasive species. It's very humanized. This is a photo by our friend Beatrice Hines in Belgium. Let's listen to the call of the house sparrow. They just won't shut up. When they're going, they just go.
I like the song of the house sparrow.
Oh yeah, they're busy. They're always just flitting around. They never hold still for long. I believe I had some pictures that I took of them raiding a trash can at a Chick-fil-A while I was sitting there, and took some pictures of them. The males have a bright black, white, and brown markings, a brown chin, a white stripe on their neck. They're very the very pretty bird. The males are very pretty bird. The females and young birds are just pale brown and gray. There are about one of 25 species of the genus Passerines, which means it talks about the total arrangement they have. The house sparrow is native to most of Europe, the Mediterranean basin, and a large part of Asia. I have a map here that I took the whole map to show where their green is where they're native, and then yellow is where they have been introduced.
Oh, wow.
Whether intentionally or accidentally, including Australia, Africa, the Americas, making it
Really lived on ships, as they were
probably, yeah, because it's very humanized. It's a bird that strongly associates with humans, and it can live in urban and very rural settings. However, it's almost always found around humans. It's almost like they cohabitate with us because of its wide distribution. It is said to be the most widely distributed bird on Earth. So
Wow.
they're everywhere, literally everywhere. Like that song, Johnny Carson singing? I've been everywhere. So anyway,
No, not
sparrow.
Johnny Carson, Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. What I said, Johnny Carson. Gee, I wish I could claim I did that.
Although
on
I'm
purpose.
sure that Johnny Carson hummed a few bars at least to the song. So
Most people have of that age, yes.
oh yeah.
So, like I said, strongly associated with humans living amongst us. There are house sparrows that live under and in the front porch of this building. They greet us every day with their happy welcoming song and twitting and flirting around and doing what house sparrows do best, and that's eat and make babies and poop. So the bird.
The Audubon Society says there's an article here, how the house sparrow conquered the world is encoded in its genes. The species found in urban areas around the globe can digest starchy grains, which helps explain its close bond with people and its love of pizza. So I'll share that article.
You toss a French fry on the ground where there's outside seating.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone. The sparrow, there will be a sparrow come and get it, around here anyway. They're on the Hawaiian Islands, they're Falkland Islands, they're on New Zealand. I mean, they have conquered the world, because of their strong association with human habitation. So the bird strangely avoids woodlands, grasslands, and deserts away from human development. However, if there's human development in those areas, they will be there in most instances. A very opportunistic feeder, commonly eats insects and many other foods, as Scott said, seeds, grains, grasses, starch, carbohydrates, makes them happy birds. Now, here we go. We're going to talk about a new bird to us. Hang on a second. There we go. This is, okay. I've been practicing pronouncing it all day long. It's spelled Phainopepla, Phainopepla. Phainopepla. This is from Carl Bernhardt. He took it at the San Diego Safari Park in Escondido, California. We'll tell you some information about it, and then we'll tell you the story about what he thought when he found it. The bird is 7 to 8.5 inches long, so slightly smaller than a robin. From looking at the picture, you can tell what its most striking feature is, that red eye and that big prominent crest that it has lifted right there. The males are very glossy black, and they have white patches under their wings when they fly. Adult females are mousy gray, but they still have the red eye. Immatures look similar to the females, but they have brownish eyes.
And how do you pronounce it again, Kent?
Phainopepla. Phainopepla. Phainopepla.
Huh.
F-A-Y. The pronunciation I found was like Fayetteville, like F-A-Y, or a woman's name. So Fay, the word no, like no, and then pep, and then la. So I want to say Fain Pepla, but it's Fay no Pepla. All right. The syllable ends after the I. The first syllable ends after the I. So Phainopepla. And here's an interesting tidbit I learned. The Phainopepla comes from the Greek meaning shining robe, which obviously, because it's shiny, characterizes the jet black plumage of the male, the adult male. It's a bird that mimics calls of other birds, including red-tailed hawks and northern mockingbirds. Northern flickers, we had a northern flicker, was our lead bird last week, I think. Gambel's quail, we've had a Gambel's quail from Mike Wiesner in Oracle. Mourning doves, we had some mourning doves submitted by Jeff Weiss. Verdins, I don't think we've had a verdin yet. Acorn woodpeckers, we had an acorn woodpecker, I think it was last week. Scrub jays, we don't have a scrub jay yet, although I've got some in stock, and we'll have a scrub jay at some point. And the American kestrel. The Phainopepla sounds like this. So I just realized I don't have a map of the Phainopepla. I'm trying to get one. It's a great bird. I mean, I would love to see one of these birds. Let's see real quick. I can copy one here. How can I do this? I'm just going to move this onto the screen. So there's the range map for it right there. The breeding population along the southern California, a little bit up into Nevada, Colorado, Arizona, tad bit in Mexico, then down central Mexico for the breeding population, then the non-breeding population down in lower Mexico. So that's the Phainopepla. All right.
Now,
So
is this bird a cardinal or not?
it's boy, I looked that up. I can't remember.
Because it's called also a goth, or it looks like a goth cardinal.
Cardinalia is the family.
I'm reading about this bird in
It is
Audubon.
it is not a cardinal.
It is not.
No,
But
it
look
is
at
not.
it certainly looks like a
It
cardinal.
looks like a
with
black cardinal.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I actually addressed that later on. The Phainopepla is the only U.S. representative of the family. And now I'm going to butcher this one. Tilogonodatadia. P-T-I-L-O-G-O-N-A-T-I-D-A. My Latin was always terrible. The P is going to be silent, but Tilolongatadia, known as Silky Flycatchers. However, they're
That's
not. Yeah, they are not related to the North American flycatchers. Their nearest common ancestor is the waxwing, which also have a glossy, silky look to their plumage. And Phainopeplas are related to palm chats, which occur on the island of Hispaniola. So that is the Phainopepla. Here's something interesting. During the winter, we'll look at another picture here real quick. There's another picture of the same bird. And here's one of it sitting on top of desert mistletoe. So Scott, we have mistletoe around here. And actually there's mistletoe in front of one of the trees.
Oh yeah, there's a big bunch of it up there.
Yeah, it's the size of a basketball up in that tree. I suspect that you and I are the only two in the building that know what's up there. We ought to do a poll and see. But there's
what is that?
and see. No, ask people if there is any and see if they know it. So looks completely different for us. Mistletoe is a parasitic, very evergreen plant up in oak trees. But in the desert, there's a desert mistletoe that this bird is setting in. So it is their winter survival food. They eat other berries and insects through the spring and fall. Most times they're territorial, often perching for long periods to watch for intruders as they guard their nests and berry trees. However, they often will also nest in small colonies. After breeding is over, they form large flocks and winter in lower elevations in the desert. So they're abundant in desert washes where there's mistletoe orchids, orchards, chaparral, josser tree woodlands, oaks, and sycamore woodlands. Now, here's something real interesting. Have you ever heard the term grass through a goose?
No.
Okay. So Phainopeplas are like, when they eat, it's like grass through a goose. Their digestive tract specializes for eating mistletoe fruit, which are very low in nutrients. So the birds consume lots of them, as in 1,000 a day.
Really? I always heard that mistletoe was poisonous.
Yep. Well, they are. The squirrels eat mistletoe, but they're mammals, but there's certain things that we can eat that other things can't, and other way around.
Okay.
So the berries spend 12 minutes inside the Phainopepla before being excreted. Thus, like grass through a goose, really quick. So they eat, like I said, 1,000 berries a day. And here's something interesting. Because they're a bird of the desert, they rarely drink water. They get almost all of their liquid water from the berries and insects that they eat. So they don't go to drink water at all. So, all right. So the
But it
phainopepla.
says the phainopepla's breeding behavior has baffled birders since the early 1920s. Avian enthusiasts noticed that the birds bred early in the year in the southwestern deserts and then disappeared after the young fledged in the late spring, right around the time they started showing up hundreds of miles away to nest in California's oak and mesquite dominated woodlands.
Right.
So they found out that these are the same birds.
So I
And
read
they're nesting or breeding at least twice a year.
So All About Birds talked about it, but it said there was no definitive proof. However, there seems to be pretty strong evidence that they breed, they leave, they show up, they breed again. Sounds like a graduate student project to me to trap a couple of them,
Right.
put transmitters on them, and settle that once and for all. Okay, so Carl Bernhardt got this. Here's a picture of a desert mistletoe with berries all over it. That looks like it must be on a tree that's parasiting on,
Yeah.
just like mistletoe here, but a completely different looking, because ours just don't get nearly that big. It's basketball sized bunches generally. And back when I was a teenager, we would go take a shotgun and shoot it out of trees and then sell the pieces around Christmas time to make a little bit of spending money. So we would harvest some mistletoe and, we were careful not to take the whole plant, and whatever fell down, that's what we would sell and make a little bit of money. All right. So Carl found this phainopepla in a tree a month ago in the San Diego Safari Park in Escondido. It is an outdoor zoo with a lot of exotic bird species. So his
You are still on the desert mistletoe slide.
Yeah, it's the phainopepla still. So we'll go back. There we go.
Okay. All right.
So this bird specifically, this one, he found in the San Diego Safari Park. They have a lot of exotic bird species, so he assumed it was an escapee from an exhibit. But a birder friend indicated that it was a native species, which breeds in Mexico and into the Southwest. He looked it up and discovered that, in fact, it is probably not an escapee from there, but the berries are what attracted it, though it was in an outdoor zoo with lots of people around. So that's the phainopepla. Sort of fun to say. And here is another invasive species in the United States. This is the beautiful scaly-breasted Munia. Okay, so got a little bit more about it. Here we go. We're going to listen to it, and then we'll talk about it. That's it. That's all it is.
That's a lot of noise. Is that one bird?
No, it's a flock of birds.
Okay. It's like, wow.
That's sort of like what house sparrows sound like when they get a bunch of them all chattering. You can see from the map that they have some populations in California and along the Gulf Coast down to Cuba, Puerto Rico, some in Guatemala. So they are an Asian species, 4.5 to 7.5 inches long. So they're a good sized bird. Populations from escaped released pets. They are called, common names are in the pet trade, and this is where they got released and escaped, the nutmeg mannequin or the spice finch. And in fact, they are a member of the finch family. Stubby dark brown bill, which is typical of grain eaters. Adults have a beautiful dark chestnut brown on their heads and backs, white below with scaly pattern on their bellies. Some populations are duller brown. Males have darker markings than females. A beautiful bird obvious why people would want to make a pet out of it, right? Juveniles are plain brown all over, typically found in small flocks, sometimes mixed with other species of Munia, right? None of the pet trait is the nutmeg mannequin and spice finch. Very small, attractive songbird, lives in grasslands, gardens, fields, and agricultural areas, native to India and Southeast Asia, and introduced populations are scattered everywhere around the world. Small waxbill is a popular cage bird. So let's see what else. Diet consists mostly of seeds, berries, and insects. And that's what we have on the show today. Birds from around the world, although we have a couple of them here. I don't think there are any blue tits here. I have not seen many references to it. But this is a beautiful bird. I can see why people would want to keep it, as a pet in a cage. And then they have to have it. Why do the cage songbirds sing? Right? There's a movie there. So I've got one more picture, and this is a teaser once again for what's coming up. This is a close-up of a wild screech owl wing taken by Kevin Shank. So see those little end feathers sticking up? Those little spiky feathers disrupt the airflow off the backside of their wings, which makes them owls nearly silent flyers. And those little protrusions are why it's very difficult to hear an owl in flight. Imagine how close he had to be to get that kind of detail with a camera. You saw a picture last week if you were with us. Kevin has done some great work with owls and other birds. I'm hoping to get him on next week. Going to work on that. And if we have him on, we'll be doing that and his also talking about his microscopy snowflake work as well. So, and you've seen some of his snowflake pictures, Scott. They're just beautiful work, amazing work. So that's the show. Phainopepla is the word of the day. Everyone spread the word.
Phainopepla.
Phainopepla. There you go. So we appreciate everybody sending their pictures. That it really makes the show, getting pictures from around the country really is nice. So keep sending.
There was a bird that Kent helped me with. I have a little bird feeder in my patio, and I had never seen such a colorful bird in Arkansas before. And so Kent he said, well, what did it look like? And I described it to him, and then he showed me some pictures, and I said, that's the bird.
A painted bunting. Yep.
The painted bunting. I mean,
And
I
I
was just utterly blown away. I mean,
I couldn't come up. I came up. I said, not an indigo bunting, and I could not come up with it, but a painted bunting.
Yeah,
So-
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
This is a bird of the passerine family, meaning it has 3 toes in front, 1 toe in back, and you can see that clearly. 1 long toe that wraps around, 2 toes that grab, and a toe on the back that you can barely see on its left leg.
Yeah.
But spectacular. I mean, look, purple, red, orange,
Yellow,
green,
green.
purple, right, blue, just.
And then I saw I guess the female version of this bird, which was mostly green. So
Right. They're a yellowish green, sort of like the yellow patch on the back of that bird. It's sort of a dull yellow like that, right? A dull yellow green. Yep. And when you see one, it's like, wow. You know? Yeah. I like indigo buntings. They're just dark violet. And it's like an electric blue. When you see them, it's just like, ooh, but that bird is just a cacophony. It's a cacophony of color.
Cacophony of color. That's right.
A cacophony is a sound, but it is a cacophony of color. So I may have just turned a phrase there. I might need to copyright that.
Yeah, you better send it to
Trademark it.
Merriam-Webster
Yep.
dictionary.
Trademark it. So anyway,
Yeah, that's right.
it's amazing the beauty that's all around us that we ignore. Oh, and Scott, talking about, we were out looking at the lights on the building the other day, and tell them what we found on the ground.
You found, you called it a mouse pill or something like that? Or?
It's a if it came out of a hawk, I mean, if it came out of an owl, it would be a digested mouse that it coughed up, and it's a mouse pill, or an owl pill. But this came from a hawk that hangs around the building, and it's been all the way through it. And I'm going to get one of our microscopes with a camera hooked up on it, and we're going to dissect it live on one of these shows.
Okay.
And
All
look
right.
at the little ground up bones and mass of fur that's inside. And
What was amazing is you were just like talking about it. Now you look down at the ground as you were talking, and I found it.
Yeah, it was right there. Yeah. Yeah. We also found some raccoon feces that we're probably not going to dissect.
Yeah, we're not going to pick that up.
This is not, no. It wouldn't bother me any. I'll pick it up.
Yeah, it looks like
I've had
dog
far
feces,
far worse on me than dried raccoon feces. So anyway, I mean, it's cool. It's an interesting way to study birds. And if you know where owl nests are, you can go out on the ground and pick those up and sell them because science classes want to dissect them. Yeah. So
Right. Well, you know that you have astrophotographers and astronomers in the group here. Miami says I think I saw a little bit of chromatic aberration on the feather photo. That's probably true, especially if it's like a cropped in close up and was done with like a regular camera lens. So,
okay. So Scott, I just looked it up. Small owl pellets
yeah.
are going for $1.50 each on pellets.com.
You can buy them?
Yeah, you can buy them. Barn owl pellets, a pack of 6 barn owl pellets.
Perfect gift.
On Amazon.
With Prime delivery?
Prime eligible, absolutely. For $22.
Folks, go now to Amazon.com, order your owl pellets, and you can have them next day.
Yes. And they're 1 to 1.5 inches long. Yeah.
That's how long ours is, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's about that long.
Ours is kind of a big one, right?
Ours is, well, I'll show it to you. It's right here.
Huge, but-
Hang on.
Yeah, let's see it. I mean, if you can give them away as gifts, then, we can show it on the wing. I suppose. Yeah, look at the size of that thing.
I mean, there went a bone. Nope, that was blade of grass.
Okay.
But there are bones
Yeah, check it out.
right there. So it's what, 2 inches long?
Why would anybody get these things?
To dissect them. It's science,
Ah.
buddy. It's natural science.
There we go.
To dissect them. Actually,
It was like a
I was-
6-pack.
okay, you've lived in China long enough that you'll probably enjoy a cup of owl pellet tea. Owl pellet soup.
I have, well, I won't tell you all the things I've eaten in China because I've eaten almost everything. But let's just say that if it walks, crawls, wiggles, flies, swims, otherwise has eyes, I've probably had it. So,
Have you ever had bird's nest soup?
yes.
We had a woman from China here, worked here for a while,
Several
long time. And Adam had been over, and she started cooking some bird nest soup. He said he had to leave the house because
Why?
he was I
didn't like the
guess
smell?
it's just the smell. Yeah, he said just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
It was-
it's expensive.
Yeah, it was.
Bird's
I think it was canned. I think he said it was canned bird nest, and he said it was
Oh,
just
in
like,
the can.
yeah, he said it was like overwhelming. He says couldn't do it. Yeah, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So
All right, folks. Well, I hope
So-
you enjoyed the show. I know that we did. And Harold Locke says bullion for poop soup.
bullion, yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's what it'll be.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. This show's taking a dive. Thank you for
Science.
watching On the Wing. And we'll be
Science.
back next. It's science, folks. That's right.
Science.
Don't forget. Yes. So what do we got coming up? Tomorrow we have Focus on Astrophotography. And right after that, we have Astronomical League Live, which is going to be on, so Terry Mann and Chuck Allen and Carol Orge and all the crew will be there with their special guests. I'll be there, and so will David Levy. And we hope you watch. That comes on at 6 p.m. Central. Focus on Astrophotography is 4 p.m. Central. So until that time, you guys take care and keep looking up, whether it's at birds or at stars. And, tune in tomorrow. Is at 2 when we're on Amazon Live? Is that right?
And we should be on Facebook Live at 1:30 or Facebook at 1:30, Amazon Live at 2, talking about astrophotography.
Great.
And next Wednesday for the Amazon Live broadcast, I'm planning to talk about how you can polar align when you don't have a polar scope.
There you go.
And I'm not going to be I'm talking about a rough polar alignment, not a perfect drift alignment, polar alignment. That'll be for another episode. But how the heck do you get anywhere close to being north? A lot of people can't see the North Pole. How the heck do you do it? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. And we're going to talk about that and have some demonstrations as well on how to do that. So
Awesome.
very good.
Awesome.
And send us
All
your
right.
pictures. Send us your pictures.
To Explore Alliance at explorescientific.com.
That's it. Thank you, Scott.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll be with you tomorrow as we mentioned, and if you want to watch more of our programs, you can go to any of our social media channels, which you can find all of them on explorescientific.com/live. Okay, take care.